Hi everybody, welcome back to the channel. Now this is an old seasoned piece of apple, but it's not without its problems. Like most fruit woods, it does tend to crack during the drying process, and this one has an absolute doozy down this side. As you can see, it goes from there and pretty much all the way across. So we're going to have to be very, very careful in deciding what to do with this piece. But on the other hand, we also have the possibility of some beautiful, incredible heartwood on here. So we want to try and make the most of that if we can. Now, you know, I'm always looking for inspiration and different techniques to try out. Well, a resource I've been using an awful lot recently is one that I think you'll love. It's called the Woodworkers Guild of America, and they're sponsoring today's video. The Woodworkers Guild of America has been a game changer for me. It's an online hub packed with instructional videos, project ideas, and expert advice for woodworkers of all levels. From beginner basics to advanced techniques, they've got you covered. Now, being dyslexic, I've always found written material and written instructions really, really difficult to follow, which is why I've always found it easier to learn by watching rather than reading. And step-by-step demonstrations on Woodworkers Guild of America are absolutely spot on. Their expert instructors walk you through each and every process in a way that makes it easy to follow and apply right away. It's like having your own mentor there in the workshop. Plus, they're always adding new content, so I'm never short of ideas for new projects or ways to improve my skills. Whether you're looking to sharpen your tools, master joinery, or even try something new like cabinet making, there's something for everyone. And here's the most exciting part. For the first 1,000 people to click on the link in the description, they will get a year of premium membership to Woodworkers Guild of America for only $1.49. That gives you access to live tutorials, Q&A sessions with experts, and a community of woodworkers who share the same passion. So if you're ready to take your woodworking to the next level, join me in exploring all that Woodworkers Guild of America has to offer. Click the link below in the description to get started. It's an investment in your skills you won't regret. Right, back to this cracking piece of apple. Now, as I mentioned before, we have this crack which pretty much seems to run down the entire side. I'd have to remove a bit of the bark to get a good look at it, but I can see crevices forming right the way across. Here we've got a couple of absolute doozies. They are really deep. I've stuck something in there and it goes in quite a long way. Now this side, I can't see so much. There's a couple of smaller hairline fractures there and there, but it does seem to clear up an awful long way down. Looking at this piece, you can see the difference between the state of the wood on the top and the bottom. So this was obviously a longer piece initially, and that's been trimmed off in the not too distant past. Right, so what we're going to do, well, it's quite a big piece, and I would love to have turned a hollow form or something like that from it, but I don't think it's going to be possible with this amount of cracking. It wouldn't be safe. So what I'm intending to do is to get it onto the bandsaw and cut through here, and then we'll see what we've got after that. Whether or not we're going to turn this side or this side, I'm not quite sure. This one isn't too bad. We do have some cracks here and here where the branch came out, but we'll see after getting this cut. Okay, so there we go. We'll cut it nicely in half, and the wood inside is very, very nice indeed. It's nice and solid, no sign of rot. So I think we've made the right decision definitely to cut this in half. The split, I didn't quite get it in the center, so I would have to make sure that that was cleared whichever way we decide to turn this. Now I'm going to turn this piece for the moment because I think it gives us a nice few different opportunities. We can either turn it with this as the top, and it'll give us an interesting, kind of almost like a banana shaped piece with the high points here and the low points to the side, or we can turn it this way up with this as the top and maybe have a nice flattish platter, which may be quite nice. Put a nice little elegant foot on it. So which way? I think because I've done a fair few platters recently, so I think it's going to be a bowl, a nice natural edge bowl. So I'm gonna, where did that come off? All right, it's part of the split. Okay, so I'm gonna, I think I'm gonna attach this with a worm screw. I'm just gonna flatten off an area here with the forcing a bit, put a worm screw hole in, and then we'll get started. Okay, we're nice and safely on the lathe. It's pretty well balanced, so we can start turning at about 750 RPM. Things we have to take care of first is this crack that's still there going down the side. That won't take much to clear. Another thing to bear in mind are the slight end grain cracks we've got here. How deep those goes, I'm not sure, but we'll see if we can work past them. I'll be starting off with the 3/8 inch bowl gouge from Record Power. This is the one with the hybrid grind and the Pro Comfort grip. I used it last week. I am starting to absolutely love it, so we're going to carry on using it. Okay, you can still see the remainder of that crack there. It looks like it's right underneath the tailstock, so that may have to come away for a second just while we'll clear that, and then we'll put it back in. But the apple grain is looking beautiful, absolutely beautiful. We're nearly there. Just a few remnants of that split, possibly on the side there as well, but that will go when we're turning up the sides. I think one final pass on there, then I'll bring the tailstock back in, and then we'll start working on the shape, working these wings up. Okay, let's go at the sides. Oh, hello. Okay, right, the bark wasn't going to stay on anyway, I don't think. It was always very, very likely to come off on this piece. Right, looking at the sides nicely, this was the area I was slightly concerned about with all these cracks at the end, so we're going to carry on coming up and see if we can work past a couple of them. But the grain in here is just, as soon as we get a finish on there, that is going to look absolutely incredible. Now, in terms of style, I've never been a great fan of large flat-bottomed natural edge pieces like this, so this is going to be a shallower curve with a slightly raised foot when we get to that point. So just in case you were wondering, let's carry on up the sides. Okay, I'm starting to like the shape. We've got still a few cracks around here, but as you can see, they're surrounding this wonderful grain here, which is obviously a knot of some sort, which I've got two minds. I can either turn this away and lose that grain and get past these cracks, or I can attempt to fill these cracks and keep that grain. Now, the way I'm feeling at the moment, I would really like to try and keep that bit of figure there. and we've still get to get to the top on this one. So perhaps I'll just come down this edge again to remove that flat bit. Let's see where that leaves us with this. It may be a case of that we've got to go past it because that may be too structurally unsound. But let's figure that out in a minute. We're going to get rid of that and see where that leaves us on there. Okay, we've cleared that area there, so that's good. We've lost that spike going up there, unfortunately, but we still have a nice bit of figure in there. Now I'm just going to lift the bark on this side to have a look at the crack. And yeah, it goes in about 3 inches, so we're not going to get rid of that crack anyway. So I'm going to have to pour a bit of CA glue in there, I think, just to keep us safe. And then when I'm sanding, I'll fill it properly. Okay, that's a good chance to firm up. So we'll just do a few final cuts just to even up this surface. See if we can get rid of a bit of the end grain tear out on there, and then we'll start forming the foot. That certainly did the job. It was a very, very slow, deliberate pass. Just helped remove any of the end grain that we could, any of this. You see the slightly lighter pieces of wood, well, they're just a little bit softer on the end grain, and they were very, very susceptible to tear out. So a very, very slow, deliberate cut with a nice sharp tool has meant that our sanding is going to be an awful lot easier. Right, I'm going to start from this point here, come in, start reducing the size of this foot a little bit, and then create a recess. We'll certainly do that. Right, I'm going to set it for sanding. I'll let you watch a bit of it. I shall bring you back when we're done. Okay, sanding went beautifully. There's a few more wormholes in this piece than I initially thought, but that's okay. We filled those cracks with sawdust and CA glue, and another one which appeared in the middle towards the end. So that was interesting. I'm going to give this a quick wipe over with some isopropyl alcohol. This will give us a good idea of what this grain's going to look like when we finish on. Look at that. I do love apple. I don't turn it very often. I wish I had an awful lot more of it. Okay, well, while we wait for this to evaporate, I'm going to go and get some lunch. And I'll see you back in a second. Okay, that's had a good chance to dry. So I'm just going to go on with Howard's Feed and Wax. I really like this product. It really helps bring out a kind of natural luster in the wood, and as this apple is on the older side. It's going to certainly help give a long life to this piece. The idea is you put it on and then we're going to let it sit for about 20 minutes. Then come back, wipe off any excess and give it a little buff. There's no denying how beautiful this wood is though. If you've enjoyed what you've seen so far, then I'd really appreciate just hitting that subscribe button. It doesn't cost you anything. It really, really helps the channel out an awful lot. Right, we'll let this sit for 20 minutes and then we'll come back. Okay, we've just turned around. I've just sharpened up the bowl gouge so we can get started. Now, as you can see, we've got an awful lot of height variation, and normally when you turn the bowl round, you would flatten off the surface, but obviously we can't do that in this case. Now, one thing with this kind of shaped bowl, it's very, very hard to see where you're cutting as it's spinning round because there's a lot of hit and miss areas. So I'm just going to put a white line across the top of the bowl where I don't necessarily want to start cutting beyond yet. Okay, we're going to have the top fairly thin, or the walls fairly thin, I hope, but I want to give myself a bit of breathing room. So we're going to start cutting in from this edge towards the center and then refine the edge as we're moving down. I don't want to refine the edge at the last moment because when this is hollowed out, there's a chance that this is going to flex. Now, we've got tailstock support at the start, but it won't be long before we have to take that away. Okay, start's going well, but I really do need to take away the tailstock. I just can't get the angle into that wall with it in place. Okay, that tailstock out of the way, that's making those cuts so much easier. Now, thickness wise, that's about just under ½ an inch, which I think is going to be absolutely fine for this piece. So I can carry on down into the piece, trying to keep the wall thicknesses the same all the way down. Okay, it's all going very well. I've just swapped over to the 45-degree angle bowl gouge. It's sometimes called the bottom feeder because it's really good at getting that tight angle there to help start doing the finishing cuts across the base. Okay, that's pretty good. I'm just going to get in with a scraper to finish the last couple of little bits, and I think then we're ready for sanding. I think that will do that. We've got a nice, beautiful, even wall thickness all the way around. Tool marks are pretty much all gone. So now we can start sanding. I'll let you watch a bit of it, but I'll bring you back when we're done. Okay, sanding went beautifully. It's really quite an awkward shape to sand, but we got there in the end. Right, so just give it a wipe over with a bit of isopropyl alcohol, just to help remove any loose particles on the surface. And again, give us a first look at how this wonderful apple is going to look when it's finished. Not bad at all. Okay, right, we'll let this dry, then we'll come back on with the Howard's Feed and Wax. Okay, that's nice and dry, so once again I'll give it a good healthy saturation with the Howard's Feed and Wax. Oh, here I'll give the back another coat as well. Okay, I'll let this sit in for 20 minutes, and then if it needs another coat I'll apply that. And then once I've got it off the lathe, I'll take it over to the buffing wheel and give it a bit of a polish. I shall bring you all back when we're done. Well, there we go. A rather pretty natural edge apple bowl, finished with Howard's Feed and Wax, and then given a light buff on the linisher wheel. This was a lot of fun. I do love turning apple. I just wish I had an awful lot more of it, because the grain in the wood really is just so beautiful, and it always cuts so smoothly. I know this piece was quite old and quite grotty, and we still have numerous bug holes in there, but I don't think it takes anything away from the natural form of this piece. If this is your kind of piece, then please let me know in the comments below, and don't forget that if you do leave a comment, you are going to be entered into the giveaway, which is happening on the 30th, which is this coming Saturday, I believe. If you want to know what you're playing for this beautiful London plain burl vase we created a few weeks ago. All you have to do to be in with a chance of winning this is to have subscribed to the channel and have left a comment on one of the last videos since our last giveaway. There we go. I'd like to thank the Woodworkers Guild of America for sponsoring this video. If you'd like to take advantage of the offer, then there is a link in the description below. But apart from that, thank you very much indeed for watching, and I'll see you next time. Thank you.